Well, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, is condemning the possibility that an arrest warrant might be issued for him by the International Criminal Court, or ICC. The chief prosecutor of that court has asked a panel of judges to consider the request. It'll likely take a month or two for those judges to rule. But already, Israel, the United States, other countries outraged over the move. Netanyahu calling the move absurd and false, vowing to fight Hamas until Israel achieves complete victory. On Monday, the chief prosecutor of the ICC, which is based in The Hague in the Netherlands, accused Netanyahu, along with his defense minister, Yoav Gallant, of war crimes. The prosecutor also wants arrest warrants issued for the top leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, who is believed to be hiding in tunnels under Gaza, and two other Hamas leaders. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak also weighing in, saying this entire thing is deeply unhelpful. Let's bring in CTV's Colton Prail, covering the story for us with more on the significance of the move and why there is so much outrage over what the ICC is considering doing here, Colton.
Yeah, Todd, let's start with that outrage, because this really is the first time we've seen the ICC make a move like this. It's not the first time that they've applied for a warrant or even issued an arrest warrant for an international leader, but it is the first time that it applies to a major Western ally or major Western power, that it applies to a democratically elected leader. That specifically is something that we've seen brought up over and over again by critics of the decision, including the Canadian government, who says they respect this, but ultimately they take issues with certain aspects of this. We haven't seen the ICC target governments like Israel before in their applications for warrants. It means, should this go through, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be joining other international leaders or former leaders like Vladimir Putin, like Muammar Gaddafi or Omar al-Bashir, as people who were under arrest warrants by the ICC, and frequently these don't result in arrests themselves. It's important to note that as well. The ICC does not have jurisdiction in Israel. It doesn't have it in the States. It doesn't have it in Russia. So even if this goes through, an arrest isn't likely. And we're talking months into the future now. But just this step is new. It is significant. And the fact that it highlights both the leaders of Hamas and the leaders of Israel is what's making this so contentious for so many allies. Asked multiple times about it, Chrystia Freeland, the Deputy Prime Minister here, was simply unable to expand in her answer as to what it was that the Canadian government took issue with it, simply saying they respect the independence of the ICC. Have a listen to her response.
Canada respects the independence of the ICC. It's an important multilateral institution. Canada also understands that it is entirely inappropriate to equate the terrorist leaders of a terrorist organization with the democratically elected leaders of a democracy.
And Todd, that's a very similar response to what we heard from France, from Germany, from Australia. This is what we're hearing from countries like Canada, who are members of the ICC, but who clearly have strong feelings about the decision to group all of these warrant applications together. What's interesting, though, is that Chrystia Freeland couldn't expand on what it was that made them equivalent, what was wrong about that, because it's important to note that the charges facing Hamas leaders are very different from the charges facing Israeli leaders. And in the application itself, it does not compare and contrast crimes. It doesn't say what is worse. It is simply, these are individuals who allegedly did not uphold their international responsibilities. And so it's unique, perhaps, that Canada couldn't add more information as to what it is that they are so opposed with, and how that conflates or how that is balanced by the independence that they say they respect for this court.
Colton Prail in Ottawa with the latest on the ICC and its controversial move. Thanks for this, Colton.